hope you got a nice cup of coffee, because today I'm not going to be talking about books. I'm going to be talking about The Witcher 3, one of the greatest video games ever made. I know a lot of these video game videos have gameplay and things to cut through and awesome editing, but really it's just going to be me with a cup of coffee talking to you about The Witcher 3. I began my venture into The Witcher in 2016 when I was 21, and I got to the Griffin battle, the Griffin boss fight in White Orchard, and I shut the thing off. Just turned it off, gave up. It was too complex of a game. My little 21-year-old brain just couldn't handle it. Then around, I think it was 2022, when they revealed a next-gen update. And that is when I dove back in. And let me tell you, it hit me right here. There are so many games out there that are just so much fun. And, you know, you jump on platforms and collect coins, you race through streets, and you kill bad guys, and you have a really nice, fun 5 to 10 hour story or whatever. But The Witcher is very much like a literary book. It's like the finest bottle of wine. It's one of the greatest games ever created. And I truly believe it is the definition of a masterpiece. A lot of us thought it was just a video game and the books came after. But no, the books were there before. The Witcher was a book series before a video game series. And it was a video game series before it became a crappy TV show. And the folks at CD Projekt Red truly understood and respected the source material of the books. And they brought to life the characters, the world, the lore, and the politics. They brought it to life in the video game. The world of Witcher 3, The Wild Hunt, is truly a living and breathing world. And it's hard for me to describe it and put it to words, but I feel it right here. I feel it when I walk through war-torn fields and burning villages, put up my torch and I venture into a monster-infested cave, or I kind of zigzag between the bustling crowds of Novigrad. And then you've got Skyrim, a game that was made 4 years before Witcher 3. It's a gorgeous world. It's very atmospheric and very calm and not as dangerous as The Witcher 3. Skyrim often feels very static and one-dimensional, like it's waiting for my character to do something, waiting for my character to walk through the town gates of Whiterun. The world doesn't change around me. And then in Witcher, I feel like the world moves without you, moves without Geralt. The choices you make shape the world, whereas in Skyrim, you're treated the same everywhere you go. And I don't mean to bash on Skyrim. I love Skyrim. I play it every Christmas. But there's something truly magical when I make a choice in Witcher that I have no idea what the implications are. And then I may see the result down the line. And it could be something so small or earth-shattering. And don't even get me started with the music and the score. It's just banger after banger after banger. You know, you got the tavern music, you got the combat music, you got the exploration music. Every bit of music in The Witcher makes each region different and unique from one another. And that's what also adds to the feeling of this world feeling so alive, and each culture and political faction feels very different and separate. You know, it took me 2 years to beat this game. I took my sweet time with it, and I am very happy that I did. It's very much, like I said in the beginning, it's like a good book, a literary novel that you just never want it to end. The characters are what made this game so immersive to me. You can have the most beautiful and fully realized graphics and visuals of your world, but if it's filled with static, hollow, cookie cutter quest givers, I'm not going to care. Geralt is one of the greatest protagonists ever written. Period. The Witcher would not be the same if I had to create my own Witcher. If I was just playing this kind of hollow vessel of a created character and just kind of exploring the world and leveling up and doing all these RPG things, there would be no emotional ties to the character. It'd just be kind of a video game. Whereas with The Witcher, you are Geralt and you are following his story. And everywhere you go with him, whether it's a side quest or a main quest, you're with him and you're making decisions with him. Geralt is so deep. You know, on the outside, he's grim and tough, but on the inside, he is a caring, loving human who has to make difficult choices. Morally gray choices. There's no black and white in this world and with these characters. It is all gray. And you're trying to make the best of the worst. Geralt is not perfect. He's kind of an anti-hero. And playing through Geralt, you're learning the history of the world, but you're also learning his history that he has with all the other characters around him. And you're learning bit by bit about each character through his eyes, through his experience with each of those characters. The gameplay is very crunchy. There's a lot of mechanics. There's a lot of systems, a lot of subsystems. And I think there is a learning curve going into it. It's not for everyone. And that's why it took me a handful of tries. It took me 7 years, 8 years for me to, grasp it and really understand it. The gameplay side of it has definitely shown its age, and it's definitely not flawless. However, I do think it is far greater than many games that are coming out in 2024, 2025. At the time, CD Projekt Red was kind of a small studio. They made Witcher 1, Witcher 2, and they kind of blew up with Witcher 3. Gameplay systems are very mechanical, and you've got your typical RPG systems. You've got leveling up, you've got armor, weapons, potions, crafting, all that stuff. But it's very thematic and believable. These mechanics fit within the world of The Witcher. It makes sense. You've got a bestiary that has a list of monsters that are all unique and different from one another, each with their own strengths and weaknesses and vulnerabilities. And you as Geralt have to use the gameplay systems to prepare for each fight. And that is what makes it so thematic and believable. And it makes each fight unique and not repetitive like you would see in hate to use the same example, but like you would see in a Ubisoft game. You have to maybe apply different skills and different potions and use different spells for different monsters. And on top of that, the economy. This is one of the most believable and fully realized economies I've ever seen in a game. You need money as a Witcher. Geralt needs money to get by. He needs money for potions, for ingredients, for equipment. There's a reason for me to stray off the main quest line, to do side quests, to do monster contracts, because I need money. There's an investment that you have in this game that you wouldn't have in any other game. Like, it doesn't become tedious to do a side quest and get money because you yourself are like, crap, I need to repair my weapons. I need money. Well, in order for me to get money, I need to go hunt some monsters and do some contracts. And then you go do a contract, and that happens to be a side quest. And that side quest veers off into another side quest. And then you're learning about these characters and the little bits of the world and their story. And then that side quest happens to be part of the main quest. No other game does it. Maybe Baldur's Gate 3. Maybe. And before I'm done talking about gameplay, let's talk about the greatest card game ever. And no, it is not Magic the Gathering. It is Gwent. The greatest minigame in any video game. Period. Full stop. Don't at me. I'd lose hours playing Gwent. My wife hated every time I'd veer off the main campaign to go play cards with a bartender or a vendor or the Bloody Baron. I felt like Geralt was a monster hunter only to fund his card collecting addiction. Gwent felt like it fit inside the world of The Witcher. It didn't feel like some sort of mini game that was just totally separate from the game. The combat was a little janky. It wasn't as smooth as like Elden Ring, which I'm playing for the first time now. I do wish it had some of that kind of, those rough edges smoothed out. However, the combat was the most engaging, like I said in the beginning, with how much investment you need to have in preparing to fight an enemy. That is also what makes Witcher stand out from any other video game, especially combat-wise. Then the exploration. Not my cup of tea. This game is clearly a narrative, a story based game with branching, connecting storylines. Then the exploration is kind of tacked on. The world is one of the most beautiful worlds ever made in a video game, but it is not designed to explore with that great freedom like you would do in Breath of the Wild or Tears of the Kingdom. And I'm not comparing the games. They're two completely different games. Breath of the Wild is built fully around exploring and genuine discovery, whereas Witcher is, again, a story first and combat exploration second. I do wish there were elements of the exploration that were, a little more rewarding rather than kind of go to each icon and check off a box. And every time I felt like exploration wasn't as rewarding as it would be in like Breath of the Wild, I would just get wrapped right back in this just amazing story. The story of The Witcher is quite simple when you think about it. When you step back and look at it, it's just a giant fetch quest. It's Geralt trying to find his surrogate daughter, Ciri. That's it. And I often say this in my book videos. It's about the journey, not the destination. That's what makes this game unlike anything else I've played. It's the journey that Geralt goes on. That's the story. It's the people that he meets. It's the situations that he gets in and the choices he has to make. The monsters he fights and the people that he tries to save. You've got those games like Fallout, where the main quest is urgent and time sensitive, where it makes no sense for you to explore the open world and do these little side quests. This game right here, it makes complete sense. You have to go on side quests because Geralt needs information. And in order for him to get information, he has to help other people out and get embroiled in these little political schemes and these very hard choices. Let me top myself off here. There are many videos and retrospectives and reviews on this game, and they often say the same thing, how deep these side quests are. How these side quests can be full campaigns, full video games in and of themselves. For example, the Bloody Baron in Velen. I'm not going to spoil it, but my goodness, that side quest could have been its own video game, its own main campaign. I don't know how many hours I put into that. I don't know what else to say. It's one of the greatest video game experiences I've ever had. I haven't even played the DLCs yet. Heart of Stone and Blood and Wine. Probably play those when I want to return to the world of Witcher. Because right now I am playing Elden Ring for the first time, and it is kind of a nice break. As crazy as it sounds, Elden Ring is a little more relaxing and calming, narratively speaking, because the narrative and lore and plot and all that in Elden Ring is very minimal. Whereas in Witcher, it's right there. And everywhere you go, there's a story. Everywhere you go, there's a choice that you have to make. And this game weighed on me. There were choices I had to make that were just so hard. And after I made them, I didn't feel good. And I kept thinking about it. And thinking about it. And I felt guilty. It was exhausting sometimes. It's nice to play a game where I'm kind of turning my brain off in the narrative sense. So yeah, I'll definitely do a review on Elden Ring when I finish that. It's my first Souls game. Love it. It's difficult, but it's rewarding. Well, thank you for hanging out with me and hear me blab about Witcher 3. What video game are you playing right now? What world and story are you getting lost in? And I promise my wife and I will have the Alan Wake 2 review out sooner or later. Schedules just haven't aligned. But yeah, until next time, thank you for watching.